I've been narrating creepy stories online for almost 5 years now. I've even written a few of my own. The thing about recording these readings is that I always have to slip myself into that mindset. I have to become that character that I've been reading for. Their fear, their rage, their desire. I make myself feel those things too. It used to be difficult, but it's gotten easier and easier now. On one hand, that's a good thing for doing these readings. On the other hand, it's scaring me. I'm scaring me. I've always had these really dark thoughts. It's just how my mind works. I've suffered from bouts of depression since I was about 8 or 9. Combine that with the fact that I can only really express myself creatively, you can guess that my imagination gets a little fucked up. The thing that makes people snap, the thing that's in someone's mind that makes them lust for a kill, it's always fascinated me. I try to emphasize more than the normal person should. I try to understand and put myself in their position. What would I do? How would I do it? Would I be able to go through with it? Sometimes I wish it wasn't like this, but I find this weird comfort in dark things. I like things that make you uncomfortable. I love that feeling, because not everything is rainbows and sunshine and pretty pictures. I'm okay with that. I noticed something was changing about me when I had trouble getting out of character after recording a reading. It felt like that persona I had slipped into was taking over. I felt unhinged, but then I lost an hour. I don't know what I was doing during the time. I just remember 1 minute I was finishing up editing a recording in my office, and the next, I was standing in my bathroom. Later that night, I found one of my kitchen knives stuck between the couch cushions while I was looking for the TV remote. It sliced my thumb pretty bad, and I got blood all over my couch. Knowing what I know about these stories that I read, I didn't just write it off. I didn't ignore it, thinking that I had some kind of mental lapse while cooking dinner. I didn't lie to myself. Something was wrong. I lost an hour, and in that time, for whatever reason, I put a knife in the fucking couch. It's been going on for 5 months now. I'm too scared to get help, but I know I need to. I keep having these blackouts and losing hours more and more often. My clothes in my closet will be completely organized in a manic OCD order. Same with my kitchen, my bathroom, my laundry room. I'm not obsessive compulsive like that. It's not typical behavior for me. I mean, let's be honest. All of a sudden having an organized house isn't really something to be bitching about, I know. But it's not just the organizing. There's things that evidently I'm doing during these blackouts that are concerning. I don't smoke. I found a carton of Marlboro Lights in my car. My nails are bitten down to where my fingertips hurt all the time. I never bite my fingernails, but now the tips of my fingers are all red and scabbed and just a mess. Sometimes I snap out of it for just a few minutes, and I'm standing in the middle of this open field miles away from my house. I'm alone, just standing there, staring at a tree about 100 yards away. And then I have another blackout, and the next thing I know, I'm in the shower. 2 weeks ago, I woke up with arms draped around me. I don't know who they were, but they definitely knew me and said they called me later. If they did, it wasn't me that answered. I couldn't even begin to tell you how violated that makes me feel. But it's not like I can go to the cops about it. They don't know that it's not me. When it is me, I know if I try to explain that to anyone, I'm liable to end up locked away in an institution or being called a liar. Then to top it all off, the journal. Handwriting so small, I'm surprised a human actually wrote it. It looked like my handwriting, but different. Wrong. There were insane ramblings about being impure and wrong and having to rectify the situation. Then it turned into shadows and demons and voices and other batshit crazy paranoid sections mushed together that I couldn't keep up with it. None of it made any sense. Between the insane ramblings were drawings of screaming men and women, bound and bloody. I've been drawing all of my life. I know my style and what I create. These drawings were done by my hand. There was no question in my mind. In the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing things. Little flickers of something in the corner of my vision. I think I'm getting sick. I feel weak and my balance is off. My stomach is always uneasy. It reminds me of that one time I got food poisoning when I was 15. I tried not thinking about what that sounded like. I couldn't face that. But I knew something was seriously wrong with me. That field was always at the back of my mind, the one I keep waking up in. There was always something off about that field. So I went there last night. I drove out, took a flashlight, and walked all the way to the tree. You know when you get that have to do this feeling? You don't know the reason, but you just have to do that one thing, otherwise it'll bother you for who knows how long. As soon as I reached the tree, I had that feeling. There was this big rock resting about 2 feet away from the tree. It was almost too heavy to move, but I managed to roll it to the side. I started digging, having to use my hands, right where the rock had been laying. I got about a foot down into the dirt, maneuvering around roots and scooping handfuls of soil out of my way. There was a moment when I thought, what the fuck am I doing? But I shoved it out of my mind. There had to be something there. There had to be. And I was right. It looked like it had been covered in foil or mylar or something. It looked like the top of a box. There was a handle, so at that point I just said fuck it and pulled it out. It probably weighed 10, maybe 15 pounds. I think I sat there and stared at the large silver box for maybe 5 minutes, trying to decide if I really wanted to see what was inside. I took a deep breath and then opened it. Inside the silver insulated box was a cooler. I knew how this looked. I knew how the story would end, but I still tried to tell myself whatever I could to not think about what was really happening. Inside the cooler were jars. My entire body shook as I took them out one by one. Inside the jars were, what I could only assume, bloody pieces of organs and flesh and muscle. Like I said, I'm too scared to get help. I can't be locked away. I just can't. Anyway, the next thing I knew, I was in the middle of my living room, covered in dirt with blood all over my hands. I'd blacked out again. There was this taste in my mouth. It was familiar, but nothing I had really acknowledged before. I ran to the bathroom and frantically started to wash the blood off my hands. It was hard to breathe or to process what I didn't want to process, but then I looked in the mirror. Reality was like a white-hot knife being plunged into my gut. The same thick, dark blood that coated my palms and fingers had smeared across my mouth and cheeks like some bastardized war paint. I screamed. But I didn't scream because I knew what I'd done. I didn't scream because I finally had to face my reality, because there was no way I could deny it anymore. I screamed because when I imagined myself doing these things I was doing in my blackouts, my mouth watered, and I licked the blood from my lips. I wanted more.